Welcome to the Business Owners Show, and today we are with Brian Caswell, and he is the founder of EDIF, which is the Economic Development Investment Fund. And very briefly, EDIF is a nonprofit lender based in Florida. The organization offers loan programs established to foster economic development, create jobs, stimulate growth, and modernization of small businesses. That's on your webpage. Could you tell me a little bit in simple terms, what does your company do? What does your organization do?
Make businesses successful.
Successful. And how do you folks do this?
Primarily is with capital. We all know it takes money to make money. And at some point, businesses have to have that key component, which is money, to purchase goods, to purchase inventory, to really facilitate their growth. And then the complementary services and resources we provide around them to give them a stable environment to be able to make sure they're doing the right things to be successful.
Okay, but as the host of the Business Owners Show, I run around, I talk to business owners all the time, and it seems like they're having one heck of a time getting any kind of funding. I mean, I keep hearing crying about I can't get loans, I can't get funding. So what you're saying to me is that you're able to do this for businesses?
Well, one is
what type of loans do you do?
Loans that we hopefully get repaid back, but loans, typically do fall outside of a bank level. We look at traditional financing as the holy grail for a company to get financing from.
It's the best way to do it.
It's the best way to do
Sure.
it. It's the cheapest. It's the best terms. The best structure.
Sure.
So we serve as an incubator almost for business financing, meaning that the money that we provide today hopefully helps that business grow to the point where they can walk into a Bank of America or a Wells Fargo and get a line of credit at LIBOR plus 100 basis points or so.
Now, Brian, you've been doing this for a while. What is your background? How is it you know how to do this?
Well, I did it before. I was with Bank of America for 5 years, running their commercial lending. Yeah, my background is commercial underwriting, commercial lending. So essentially, what I wanted to do is, and being an entrepreneur, I sat behind the corporate desk for almost 10 years. And I just scratched my head and beat my fists on the desk every day saying, why do we do this way? Well, why don't things get different? Or if this was my company, I would do it this way.
No. What you're saying is the bank, or is
when I was working
the person looking to loan.
When I was working in the bank and dealing with customers, business owners day to day, and I just couldn't understand the bank's model. Like for small businesses, they didn't have a very good program or process.
But isn't the bank basically following all these federal rules and regs? It's almost like the bank is a branch of the federal government.
Oh, you're absolutely right, and that's part of the biggest problem. We tell business owners when they come back, and we hear the story all the time. I've gone to this bank, I've gone to that bank, and I can't get a loan. And we have to inform them. Sometimes it's not a reflection on them; it's a reflection on all these rules and regulations that are imposed upon our banking systems that make them handicapped to really do what they're supposed to do.
So since you were in the banking world, how much truth is there when a bank says, well, we're the friendly local neighborhood bank and we will really pay attention to you? I mean, when I was in business world, I really didn't really believe that too much. I mean, it's zero.
The hard reality truth is...
That's what I was going to say, but I didn't want to say it.
And I have a lot of banking friends. They'll probably won't appreciate that. And, we all know the stories. I mean, we all hear we are lending. We're community focused. But the sad reality of it is you're only as good as what you did yesterday. And I use the expression, banks they'll give you an umbrella, but as soon as it starts raining, they want it back. And that's really the relationship, is you're only as good as your last 2 years' tax returns.
My favorite meeting with bankers was I had a big bank come in and they were impressed, they were happy, they gave me all the accolades, but they seriously looked at me and said, but listen, you can really only call us when you don't need us. And that was straight from the bank. When you really don't need us, that's when we can help you.
But our perspective is a couple things. One, banks are not in the business of economic development. We are. It's not their job to try to create jobs and to help our economy. They are run by shareholders, and they're in it to make money. The other is a division of the banks that is really one of their always have been their most challenge is small businesses. They're very good with big businesses, Boeing's, Honeywell, GE's, and they're good with consumer. People who want to go in, deposit their checks, and get money out of the ATM. But when it comes to businesses are such a different clientele. They don't have a handle. There's no bank that really has a structure focus around the small business.
Now you do all sorts of funding programs, and the list is really quite extensive. You do a merchant advance, PO factoring, equipment leasing, second look program, export loans. Can you talk about those? Any of these things?
Absolutely.
Let's say some recent successes that you've had
in
that area.
One of the best things that we have really efficiently been able to do is when a new business contacts us, they're looking for money. And we say, how much money do you need? What do you need it for? And how do you plan on paying it back? And as soon as they give us those three answers, we are already formulating whether it's something that we want to fund or possibly something else, that another program like the Exim Bank or SBA. I'm on the board of directors and the loan committee for the Gulf Coast Business Finance that does the SBA 504 program, which is a great program if you're buying or building a commercial building. So if a company comes to us and they say, I need $1 million to buy a building, that's probably not a good fit for our capital. But what we say, it's like, we know we can get you a 20-year fixed rate at 4.68 today on a 25-year amortization. You can't beat that. So we want to do what's best for the business. So we would send them in that path, and we serve as the facilitator because we have relationships with all these different types of lenders throughout the world really now, because that's all we do is try to put package deals together if we can't finance it ourselves.
Now, how do you get the finances? How do you get the dollars to loan out to other companies?
Capital for us is always our main objective because that's our inventory. We sell money. And so, we work with, through the EDIF, donations, foundations, grants.
EDIF is Economic
Development Investment Fund. And then we have private investment firms that we partner with, like mine, Caswell Inc. We finance business as well. So it goes back to when I was in the bank, I always had one philosophy. If I couldn't help the business, meaning my employer, I would find somebody who could. And it's the same model we have today. If we can't help them here, we're going to try to help them elsewhere. And then we're eventually going to be able to, through our experience and our relationships, provide that owner with hopefully a good solution for them.
Is it possible that that your business model, and you're the founder of this company, is it possible that this business model is like a little look into the future of what banking is going to be as regular banks become more and more absolutely locked up with regulations and lack of being able to do whatever they want, so to speak? Is this maybe a new way for companies to be funding? Is this the future?
We hope so, and that's what we're aiming towards. But we looked at it from another perspective too, is always on a linear line. That you have banks that are being your best financing source, and the alternative is like private investors, and those are those Shark Tank people,
So you got both of them.
Yeah, but we looked at that as what's in between. There's not a lot. We call that gap financing, where if you can't get a bank loan, and you don't want to give up 51% of your company to a private investor, which is, becomes almost like an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
So where do you turn? And going back to my old relationships in the bank, we had a saying: don't work with anybody unless they've been established for 2 years. Right. Now there's exceptions to the rule, but the majority, you have to have 2 years of history in a company before you can get a traditional loan.
Absolutely.
Well, how do you do that? It's like graduating from college and trying to get a job, and everybody says we're looking for somebody with 1 to 3 years experience. Well, if you never get anybody to give you that 1 year experience, how do you ever get hired? And that's what our gap financing is for, is to help businesses to get to that point today, so they grow tomorrow, so there's better options for them in the future.
Now you seem to have all these connections with overseas. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we were very fortunate to bring on a new associate. Her name is Elena Korcheva. And Elena's background was she worked for a hedge fund, and she's done investment banking.
Big hedge fund, little hedge fund.
She's raised $1 billion for an Asian hedge fund. She's lived in Australia, Singapore, Europe. She's very well traveled, and what she does for us is she opens up opportunities for us abroad. You know, she's our representative outside the United States for us in two aspects. One, she helps our U.S. companies find foreign buyers, which is something that we're always trying to expand our businesses into the global markets. And two, she's working with investors that we work with and funding sources outside the United States, which is even greater. You know, we always talk about bringing money into Florida from outside of the state.
Right.
Well, think about bringing money from outside the country to the United States. You know, it's very important for our global growth of a company.
Now, you're a partner of the Export-Import Bank of the U.S. What is that?
Yeah, we are one of two city-state partners for the Export-Import Bank. And what that means is we have a role helping the Ex-Im Bank promote their products and services and really facilitating exporting. You know, when President Obama took office and the state of Florida did the same, they want to double exports. Well, our organization raised our hand and we said, how are you going to do that? And no one's quite seemed to have the answer. They knew what they wanted to do, which was double exports, but we look at it from a problem. Then how do you actually achieve it? And we created the International Sales Expansion Program that is taking companies who have never exported before or companies that might only export to one country and expanding their revenue base to the global markets.
Now, how many businesses have you helped since your start in 2008?
Oh, from the start of 2008, we're probably reaching about 300 right now.
300 transactions.
Mm-hmm, transactions, you know, and the number is probably even higher as far as we help. And unfortunately, we remember the success stories.
That's a lot of companies.
Yes,
since 2008.
Well, people find us through the web. You know, we're on the SBA website. We're on the Ex-Im Bank's website. You know, great shows like yours that we get to virally, send out there. Every business, I mean, you know, everybody has been talking about access to capital for 3 years. That has been the buzzword. We don't talk about it, we do it. And because we do it, that has created a huge demand for us. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to help every business. You know, it's a sad reality. We don't have an unlimited checkbook. A few of us play the lotto, but no one has won yet. And even if we did, we would still probably have more businesses seeking our service, our loans, than we would have money on hand to lend. And that's just, and then, you know, we try to combat that by partnering with other lenders. But that's been really scary and hard the last 3 years because, you know, who we could partner with yesterday may not be there today. We just had one of our largest real estate lending firms pull out of Florida, and we had a great relationship with them. Anything that was more real estate related, they just made a corporate decision nationally to do no more lending in Florida.
What's one of your most
that affects me?
What's one of your favorite transactions that you've done? You know, I would say in the last 6 months or so. What is you have a few examples you could give?
Yeah, we have. First of all, in the last year, we've helped about 7 new companies that created 110 jobs, and they have. And what I'm proud about is they have refilled 5 new buildings. So 2 of them already had buildings, but the other.
And this is other 5 in the last 6 months. Did you say?
This year alone. Yep. And so I look at it from an economy standpoint. You know, you have to start somewhere, and these are empty spaces that were vacant. You know, we need to fulfill this commercial demand out there. Now businesses, our funding helped them to get into those spaces. They were successful enough that they were able to hire new people, and that's how you create a better economy, one business at a time. But to answer your question, we've actually been very fortunate to find synergies between the companies that we even work with, because we can sit back and say, you know what, they have a problem that another one of our clients has solved, but that client's problem is what the solution that they have, and we put them together. So we have a digital media company now that has platforms of either a kiosk or a TV screen. and they sell advertising space to these on these platforms. And these two companies can record the impressions, which is so valuable to advertisers. And their potential is they're primed for some wonderful growth, and they're great businesses.
And give me a couple more examples. So on that one, did you loan for equipment, for expansion, for facilities?
We did a business acquisition for one. We helped them buy a company that helped them kind of grew. The other was working capital.
Okay.
Both companies, they make money by selling advertising, but they have to have the money to buy their platform. So we help them to purchase the things that they need to make money.
What is it when you're considering making a loan, and you seem to have a tremendous amount of latitude, and what I guess we could say whatever makes sense is what you do, versus whatever we can do. It's whatever makes sense.
You just said the best word that we use here is common sense, and something that I learned.
You can't regulate that.
Something I learned in the banking industry when I had to sign off on $1 million loans.
Yeah.
Is I asked myself before I always did. I said, if this was my money, would I make this loan?
Yeah.
And if the answer was yes, I signed that term sheet. I signed it. And our company is based off that fact because it is my money today, along with other people that I'm responsible for money today.
So you're all in yourself too.
Yes, because I believe my money is safest and has the best return in the businesses that I can help.
But now you also have another company called Caswell
Financial Solutions,
and that's the private. There's also basically this is for where private investors can get together and participate in this program.
Yeah, believe it or not everybody wants to give their money away.
No.
We have tried, but the EDIF, being a 501c3,
it's nonprofit.
It's a nonprofit. We get a lot of money through donations. We've actually gotten most of our money through entrepreneurs that we've helped 2 or 3 years ago that are now being successful enough that they're donating back to the EDIF. So it's almost like an entrepreneur helping entrepreneur fund.
Bringing it forward.
But then again, we do have those people who like to make money on their money. And what the Caswell is really an alternative financing solution. And you look at where you can put your money today from a risk and reward. You can put it in a bank, and you can do a CD or a money market savings account, and you're going to earn less than 1%.
Or you have to pay.
Yeah, you can try the stock market, but that's very volatile in my opinion. I think, and so what we offer is an alternative financing solution that is, like any wealth advisor, dealing with a high net worth individual, they're going to have some of their money in cash, some of their money in real estate, maybe even put some of their money in some true venture capital deals. And we're kind of in between that stock market and venture deals because our loans are secure. We have a lot of valuation process in there, and but our cost of we're not cheap.
So it's kind of like, because a lot of venture capitalists, if they can't do 100-fold on their money or 10-fold on their money in a year or two, they don't even look at it. So what you're saying,
we don't have that model.
So that's not that model. Your model is kind of a reasonable.
We want to bet 1,000, and what that means is we have a revolving loan fund. So whatever money we lend out, it comes back with a greater amount, and then we have that money to relend again, and we just recycle that money over and over. That's how we've been able to do so many transactions. So we look for deals that fit our strategy the best, and as we get more ability to fit the business's strategy, we'll adapt to that. And right now, it's kind of it's a cooperation between us and businesses for us to be a good fit.
It just seems like you've covered the bases. So it's everything from the formalized nonprofit. What would be like a typical loan size? What are the ranges for your loan size?
Well, in the EDIF, I'll give you an example. We had
how fast do you need to return back? What are the criteria you typically are comfortable with?
It's I will say the two things that we've learned in the last 3 years: everything takes twice as much and twice as long. And any business owner who says they don't plan for that, they're fools.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I have to be the guy who looks at the 101 reasons why something will not work. That's my role here. And by doing that, I always say I'm the buzzkill, because when everybody else talks about all the things that are going to happen, I have to look at the things that aren't going to happen. So we shoot for about 6 months or less. Sometimes it goes further, sometimes it's closer. What we really look for in the company is whatever that future event's going to be, that's going to generate them the revenue that's ultimately going to be enough to, not only pay their operations, but to repay their debt. And I think something important at us is, we are, although, we've been participating in some businesses, we're primarily a debt focus. And what that means is, our cost of funds could be higher than a bank, but it's still a lot cheaper, and you probably know as well, bringing on somebody at 30% interest. I mean, equity into a company.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, equity is always going to be more expensive than whatever you're paying in interest or
money
debt.
In the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, we say we're equity partners without taking equity.
Yeah.
But the capital we put in, I mean, we are helping startup ventures.
What a fantastic model, and thanks for sharing all this with us today. And I just love the story here. I think the story is just absolutely fantastic.
Well, we like getting it out, but we're also very cautious of, you don't count your hens before your eggs hatch. So we're very excited these 7 companies, and I wanted to announce on your show, yesterday we have our first official business incubator. We have a company that's going to be working out of this office called Sarasota Scientific. That is manufacturing a bottle testing unit that we already have contracts with Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and other bottling companies. So we're very excited. This company, the inventor came to us and he said, I need help with my product, and then I need to make a company to sell my product. And we put our resources together. Yeah. A partner with a company here locally, Roe Brady.
Sure.
Because it was a machine. We said we know who the experts are. So it's just great synergy. But here's another company that they won't be here very long because they'll be building a manufacturing plant. But we'll celebrate when the brick and mortar is up.
And what's the name of this company again?
Sarasota Scientific.
Excellent. Now that's a launch. Well, Brian, thank you very much for sharing this really excellent story, and I appreciate it, and the best of wishes to you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.